And I am number 4 out of 11 children. I don't know how my mother did that, but she did. I'm the 4th of 8 girls and 3 boys. But everybody's over there. I'm the only one over here with my husband. But growing up as a child in Zimbabwe, I witnessed child marriages in my family. My grandfather, my mother's father, he was 75 at the time, and he married a 12-year-old girl. Yes, that's how, every time I say that, I can still see the picture of that girl, and I can still feel my heart sinking into my soul, because watching her crying to us, we were about the same age when this happened. She was about 12, I was about 12 as well, and my sisters. So we became friends with this young girl. And we were going to school. Thank God my parents were pro-education. They wanted all of us, all 11 of us, they wanted us to go to school. None of us girls were married off. We fell in love with who we married, and the boys the same way, they fell in love with their wives today. So I would say I was lucky enough that I wasn't married off by my father to somebody that I didn't love. But unfortunately, this young girl was married off by her parents to my grandfather, because my grandfather in those days, he was considered a rich man, not because he was a millionaire or anything, but because he was somebody with a farm, and I think at that time he had like 100 cows. I don't know how many goats, there were a lot of them, because I remember seeing them. So he gave 10 cows to this young lady's parents in exchange for her to become his wife. So that's how it all started. I'm going to roll that story real fast so that, because it can take the whole time. Sure. But anyway, she hated my grandfather, and we also kind of hated him for doing that, because we developed a friendship with this young girl. But she didn't have any say. Once you are married off, your father took 10 cows from somebody, all you have to do is pack your bags and go. And they will dump you at this stranger's house. And that's it, that's your life right there. You are there to stay. But anyway, time went on, 1 year passed by, and she's still there, but every day she would tell us that she hated being there. But she told us one day that she wants to run away because she really hates being there. And I said, yeah, go run away, we'll help you run away. What do you want us to do? She said, don't tell your grandfather that this is what I'm planning. I said, okay, we won't tell. Sure enough, we didn't tell. A few months later, she packed her bags. We knew that she was going to run away, but we never said anything. So she ran away, and we didn't tell. We pretended like surprised. Oh, her name was Lucia. Where is Lucia? We don't know, but we knew. But after some months, after we figured, okay, I think she's safe wherever she is, we told my mom that she told us that she was going to run away. So she didn't die out there, she ran away actually. But the thing is, we never thought to ask her to say, where are you running away to? We were children, we never thought to ask that question. So she ran away, and up to this day, I don't know where she ran away to. But anyway, time went on, I grew up, I went to school, I finished high school, I went to college, I met my husband, we got married. My husband, we applied to come here to further up our education. We came, we stayed, and we started, working. But that girl, Lucia, never left my mind. Wow. And I kept thinking about her, But she's not the only one. It's a lot of girls that go through these things. Even my friends, some of my friends, I witnessed them getting married off. We'll be going to school together, and the next thing you know, she's no longer coming to school because she's gone. And you don't even ask, what happened to her. And, as I was here working, and I will still continue to talk to my mom and my sisters that are still back in Zimbabwe, they will tell me, oh, so-and-so is about to be married off, whatever. Then I will take my own money, send them, say, make sure that she goes to school. So I started, doing stuff like that because I just wanted her, to do something to pay off like what I couldn't do for Lucia. So I started doing that and time went on. 2010, I registered my organization as, you read, where is Ethel? Right there, she said I'm the founder of AAYLF. AAYLF stands for American and African Youth Leadership Foundation and Child Marriages. So in Zimbabwe, where I grew up from, that's what I do. I take these girls, I nurture them, I give scholarships, I send them to school. But the American part of it is I work with girls in Chester County. Dolly knows, I do educate classes with the girls, and I teach them social skills so that they can be productive, they can be successful when they grow up, when they finish school. So that's where the African and American comes from. A lot of people, when I say African and American and African Youth Leadership Foundation, they think I'm talking about, African American people, but American because I work with American girls, and African because I work with African girls. So I just wanted people to make sure they understand that. So anyway, how do I do that? I do that by doing events. I do several events throughout the year. 2020, when the pandemic hit, I was like, okay, this is the end of it. All my girls are going to be married off now. So what am I going to do? Because that's the only way I was going to raise money and keep them in school. But anyway, God works in mysterious ways. I actually was able to sponsor more girls during the pandemic, more than what I did before the pandemic. So it was great. Up to today, I have more than 100 girls that are in school because I gained supporters. I did events throughout the year 2020 and 2021 on Zoom. I never knew how to use Zoom, but I learned and I figured out how to do events on Zoom. So we continue to do that, and we'll be raising money. And then also besides events, I talk to people, I share my story, I tell people that this is still going on, and we look for sponsors who can sponsor the girls or organizations that can sponsor the girls. And that's how I keep the girls in school. So it's giving them an opportunity for them to stay in school, because once they are in school, they are no longer at risk of getting married off by their parents, because that's all once they marry them off, now the girl is no longer the father's responsibility. They are now that husband's responsibility. So they'll be like, okay, go. As soon as you hit puberty, time for you to go. But if we keep them in school, if we get sponsors, we keep them in school. I have so many success stories that I can share with you of the girls that we have been helping since 2010. But I'll share maybe 2 or 3. There was a girl that we took, she was in high school, starting high school, she was 14, and she was supposed to be married off to, I think it was like an 8-year-old man, and her mom knew our organization because, we have been doing this for some time now. So her mom went to the teacher that I work with in Zimbabwe who identifies these girls. So she said, this is what's going on, I'm about to be married off. And the teacher came to me and said, I have this girl, this is her situation. So sure enough, we got her sponsored. We took her through school. She finished high school. She went to college. She studied business administration. Her ambition was to become a businesswoman. She wanted to become her own boss, and she really likes to work with children. So she wanted to have a business where she has something to do with young children. So after she finished her bachelor's degree, she went on to do her master's degree in financial business administration. So she met her husband while she was doing her master's program. And the husband, I forgot what he was doing in college, but they met, they fell in love, they got married. I was invited to go to the wedding, which was like the icing on the cake. And as of today, they have 2 children. This young lady, she's now the owner of 3 different businesses. She does interior decoration, she got that business. She has a boutique where she sells children's clothing. And she has, I forgot what other business, she has 3 businesses going. So instead of just, working herself, she's employing other women as well. And the best part about it is that she's also sponsoring a girl from the same community where we took her from. So it's like a full circle now, which makes me so happy that, she was able to stay in school, she was able to do this. And it's like every time I think about success of what I do, I think about this young lady, that if we didn't get her then, she could have been maybe dead by now, because most of these old guys that they get married off to, they are like 3 times, 4 times their age. And usually the young girl, she will get pregnant and her body is not old enough to be a mom, she's still a child. Some of them will die through childbirth. Some of them will give birth and the child will die. And some of them might be okay, the child is born, she's okay, but then the husband dies because, like for my grandfather who was 75, I think after Lucia ran away, he stayed for maybe 2-3 years and then he passed away. So if she had had a child with him, she was going to be left as a single mother, no education, no skills whatsoever. So how is she supposed to, support herself? So you think about that, if we didn't get these girls, their future is shut, it's done. There's no future for them anymore. So it just gives me the will. Every year I would be like, maybe this is the last year I'm gonna do this. Then I think about that, and then the teacher will be like, I have 2 girls that are, just about to be married off. Then instead of saying, oh, I'm not doing it again, then I'm like, okay, I will work on getting sponsors for that, or I will do an event to raise money for her, and then we get them in school. So I see myself continuing to do that, year after year after year after year. But it's just something that, gives me the joy, because sometimes they say, if the more you give, the more you get happy yourself. It really does that for me. Then when I see, every time I go to Zimbabwe, I go visit the school where the girls go to, and they call me mom. I have 2 boys of my own that I gave birth to, but I don't have girls. But all these girls, they now call me mom. Which I'm like, okay, I'm the mom of all these. I'm their mom. So every time I go, I see them, we do workshops together. I teach them etiquette as well. Sometimes a lot of them will be traumatized by what they go through. Like Lucia, the way she was traumatized, she was crying every day. And the thought of going to bed with this 75-year-old man, every time when it's dinner time and she's about to go to sleep, she starts crying because she thinks that, it's about time for me to go and be with this old man. So just that thought, sometimes, they require like psychological help or counseling. So I will try to coordinate, if I see that this young girl is really traumatized and she needs some kind of help, we'll coordinate that and we give them that. Some girls we take from their homes, because if we keep them in the home, the father might say, although you're going to school, I'm still going to marry you anyway. So if that's the case, we take them, we place them somewhere where we know that it's safe. I just did that with a young lady a couple of months ago. She is almost done with high school, and the father was saying, you're not going to college, I'm going to send you to get married. I already got a man who is going to marry you. But she said, no, I'm not getting married. So she ran away. But her mom knew, because most of them, the moms, they don't like this to happen to their daughters, because a lot of the mothers, they were also child brides. So they know what they went through as a child bride, a child mother, and the misery they went through. So they don't want their daughters to follow the same way. So as the mothers will do whatever they can to make sure that their daughters stays in school. And if somebody comes as an organization and say, oh, I'll pay for your daughter to go to the, like, thank God. And if they have to hide them, they will do that. Yeah. But the dads, sometimes they are the ones who say, I want the money, because they will take the money. And so what happens, like in this case where my grandfather gave this family 10 cows, that man who was given the 10 cows, if he has a son, he will keep the 10 cows and also use those cows for his son, if he has a son, because in Zimbabwe and most African countries, they still do the dowry thing where you pay something. It's not like buying something, but it's just like exchange something to make the relationship stronger. So he will do that for his son, but he will continue to send his son to school. But when he gets in an age where he has to get married, he will use those cows, he can sell them or whatever to make sure that he will pay for his bride to come home to him. So that's how, most of the time it happens. But so that's like the gender bias is still going on, not only in Zimbabwe, but in a lot of countries, not only African countries. I know it happens in Asian countries, it happens in India, even here, in Washington, I think it's Virginia. I've heard stories about child marriages, but if it happens here, the difference is here, the girls, they have a lot of resources. They know where they can go to escape these things. But in Zimbabwe, it's kind of difficult for the girls to escape this kind of thing unless an organization like ours comes and help them out. because the government, they still say, oh, 18 and under, you are still a child, you are not supposed to get married, but the law is not as enforced as it will be over here. So that becomes a real big issue, because even the police officers that are supposed to enforce these laws, they do that themselves. So how is a girl going to report her story to the police officer who is also married to a 14-year-old girl? Where is she taking that story? So you know that it's really, they are at a disadvantage, they are at risk of, and it's a lot of things that happens to them if they get married at this young age, diseases, all kinds of stuff. And then, we all know that without an education, your future is really nothing. But at least if you have a future, if you have an education, you can support yourself, you can work, you can get married when you choose to. It's all about giving them the choice of deciding what they want to do about their lives and their futures. So, trying to see, it's a lot of stories that I can tell, but I don't know how my time
15.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this since 2010 as an organization, but before that I was just doing that as an individual. I'll tell you a quick story how I did that as an individual. So one day I have a business in Coatesville. It's a little small bar, but my son is doing that now. So it's a bar.
A bar?
Yes.
What is the name of the bar?
JB's Web. JB, my husband's name is Jeremiah, and my name is Bongai, so we took his initial and my initial.
Oh, cute.
JB's Web, like, a web, like. So I used to work there. I was the manager for the bar, and I bartend, I know how to mix drinks. So, yeah. So now I lost my thought.
I'm so sorry.
You were telling us a story about the...
Oh, how I started,
Yes,
yeah. So every day I would go to work, I would stop at Wawa, get a cup of coffee and a donut because I was too lazy to wake up early and
You
make
and
my
everybody
body
else.
sleep. So I was doing that for years. And then one day I was supposed to send money to a girl in Zimbabwe who needed to go to school. So I calculated, I said, wait a minute, every morning I go to work, I buy coffee and a donut or something, and then, I'll spend at least $5 each morning. So I say, okay, times 7, times 30, times 350 days, how much is that? And I was like, oh my God, that was like my aha moment. I said, oh my God, that's enough to pay for one girl to be in school for the whole year. Then I said, from today on, I will make my coffee at home. I will buy a bag of donuts or box, whatever I need, keep it in my house, and then I won't have to spend $5 every morning. So, I'm also saying that to say, if any of us here, if you give up something, it could be, it takes $30. It used to be $25, but now it's $30 every month to sponsor one girl to stay in school. And $30 a month, that could maybe dinner a week. If you are somebody who goes to dinner once a week, $30. So if you kind of say, okay, let me skip that, that can change somebody's life. Even coffee, like I said, coffee, it can change somebody's life. When I talk about, how it costs $100 per semester for one girl, they have 3 semesters, so that's $300 a year for the whole year. And for my college, I have some girls that are now in college. College costs $1,000 for the whole year. And I went to Cheney and Westchester University. I remember going to school. One textbook, some of them will cost more than $500, okay? So, but there in Zimbabwe, that $500 could change that girl's life. It could pay for the fees for that, one semester. And college girls is 2 semesters per year. So, I'm just saying that to share with people that when they hear that, oh, you have to sponsor someone to be in college, they'll be like, where am I going to get the money from? But it's just a matter of skipping something very small, something, that we can all do per year. So I think if you want more, if I have more time, I can share more stories, or if anybody has a question.
And Ethel would like to tell you something.
Well, I already told her.
Oh!
We're making a $500
Which
donation
I
to
really,
the
really, really
foundation.
do appreciate.
Yeah,
Thank you all
yes,
that
beautiful,
are
beautiful.
involved in this. Thank you so much. And I was also telling Ethel that what I will do, because the good thing about sponsoring a girl is let's say I was telling her that there's a girl that I already have in mind who is at risk. They are talking about marrying her off. So if I tell her tomorrow that, somebody is going to sponsor you, her life changes that day, that time, that moment. So when I tell her tomorrow, we are 6 hours, I wish I could tell her today, but I have to wait because they are sleeping now, they are 6 hours ahead. So tomorrow when I wake up, I can tell them that she is now sponsored, and I will share, maybe I'll just connect with you, Ethel. You get the girl's picture, you get her story, like what happened to her, and you get to follow her. She'll grow with you. You every time she does something at school, you get to get school progress every year. And if she finishes high school, if you want to continue with her to college, you can continue with her, and then you can all come to her graduation when she graduates from college. And it's just a good feeling to see that. I was telling Ethel that in December, I have a girl that's graduating, and I mean, even if I don't have the money, I'll have to find the money to get me a ticket to go to be at her graduation party. So I'll be there December to just see her, because when I think back, what she was and where she is now, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
What
So
you do
thank
is
you.
amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, no, this was amazing.
Yes. If,
I said that we were.
Okay, yeah, okay.
oh, what I forgot to share with people how I have cards there that I will pass around, but we have a website which is www.endchildmarriages.org. I will give you a card so you can just go there, and people, you can donate there. You can do Venmo, you can do Cash App. There's so many ways that you can donate if you wish to donate. And also something that I started 3 years ago. Christmas time is coming, and we have about 100 girls that stay in the school. They don't go home because of the reasons that I mentioned earlier, that if they go home, they might not come back because they will be married off. So we keep them at school. There's a place that we ask the school for them to stay there. So Christmas time, I've been asking for donations so that we can give them like a Christmas party and a Christmas basket. So a Christmas party will be like dinner, rice, chicken, some drinks, and then we'll give them a gift basket, each of them. So it costs $10 for one girl. For us to be able to do that for all 100 girls, it will take $1,000. But people can donate $10. That's sponsoring one girl. And in the basket, we put things that you will be like, oh wow, that will make somebody happy for Christmas. So we put a box of sanitary pads, toothbrush, toothpaste, washcloth, wash soap, deodorant, and then we put a bag with cookies and a few candy just for them to, and then we give to each of them, and they have been enjoying that. So every time now they are looking forward to that. So I just wanted all of you to know.
I do have a question. What is, I guess it's transportation, or you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, forget it.
Okay, never mind. But you can read my mind. I didn't say anything. I was thinking, what if we purchased all that together?
Oh, yeah, you said, I've had a lot of people say, okay, I can give you a box of sanitary pads, but how do I get them there? I'll have to pay money to ship them over there. And the amount of money that I use to ship them over there, it's easier for me to buy them there.
Okay.
And it will be cheaper for me to buy them there. So I've been buying them. What I usually do when I'm there, I'll buy I go to a wholesale store, buy a whole box of sanitary pads, give them to Tisha Rasha. That's the teacher that I work with. So she keeps them in her office. So the girls know that when it's time for them, if they need, they will go to the teacher, and then the teacher will go. Yeah, and I mean, they so much appreciate, especially the side. We all know, we are all women here, when you are going through your cycles, if you don't have proper wear, it's just a mess. Some of them will miss classes. And believe it or not, some people now, they're still using leaves from the tree. So it's very, very, very important for them, and that's why they appreciate, these people be like, well, why would somebody be happy to get a Christmas gift of a sanitary, paid box? But that's why.
It's freedom.
Yeah, yeah.
Mobility.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Very nice.
I got it all.
Okay,
I
thank
got
you.
it all. 24 minutes. You
All
can
right.
stop it.
Okay, thank you.